This is part 2 of our Bucks commercial to residential site tour. This is my side of the building where we're making 5 flats. If you haven't seen part 1, click on the top right hand corner where Sanjay will drop some gems that you don't want to miss. So this is a commercial building, Class E. So Class E benefits from permitted development rights, converting it into residential use, which I'm going to show you upstairs. So before I talk about the permitted development rights, one of the main key issues with commercial to residential conversions is utilities. So let me show you what commercial buildings usually have. So you can kind of see that meter over there. That's what we call a 3-phase electric meter. Now that's great because we can potentially split these against the multiple units that we're creating if we have enough capacity. We're making 5 flats, so we need to see what our consultant says, but that's always a good sign. Secondly, we've got the gas connection here, and that's something we're looking to do to enhance our EPC rating to get C. So we'll keep an eye out what the consultant says in terms of connections for the 5 units. So we're converting this to 5 1-bedroom apartments. Why? Because, hello, it's an empty building, defunct, not fit for purpose. So we're bringing it back into use. And guess what? The demand for residential tenants is huge around this area. All right, so let me tell you about Class MA and exactly how you can convert commercial offices like this into residential use. Number 1, firstly, you need to make sure the use class is Class E. Class E can be converted into residential use through permitted development through a prior approval process. Now that prior approval process is called Class MA. There's also Class G, which is 2 units above a commercial, but we're making 5 here, so we've used Class MA. So let me go into the detail. So Class MA is a permitted development right, but it is a prior approval process, which basically means you have an application that you need to submit, and the council generally has 56 days to respond to your application. So some of the things they look at when they're assessing your Class MA applications will be noise. What will be the likely impact for the future residents of the property based on the noise and the decibels. So generally speaking, you're gonna have to do a noise assessment, which can cost you about a couple of £1,000. Then they will look at light. So in every habitable room, you need to have natural light. At this building, we've got light all across the facade. It's an end of terrace building, so we have enough natural light coming into all the apartments and servicing all the bedrooms and living spaces. You can review the checklist of items that you need to adhere to in order to gain approval. So some of them, just to quickly let you know, is it cannot be a listed building because you do not have any permitted development rights if it is. It cannot be in an area of outstanding natural beauty, in an area of scientific interest. A lot of this information is readily available online for free and you can find it. One misconception is that people think that you can't do this in conservation areas. That's incorrect, you actually can. But if you're making any external changes, you will need to go for full planning. The main thing under Class MA is that you can do internal works only. You cannot create any external changes. So if you need a window to create natural light, you cannot do that under permitted development. Under Class MA, if you need a new door entranceway for your flat, again, you can't do that. You'd have to go for full planning. So one of the main questions we always get is how do you actually analyze these deals? How do you know what to buy it for? How do you know the end values? And how do you know the conversion cost? Well, I'm going to break it down quite simply. You need to know your price per square foot in your area. So for example, we're buying this building for around about £300 per square foot. But I know the end value in residential terms is well over 550, close to £600 per square foot. So there's margin to be made. But obviously I'm not going to make that margin straight away. I'll have to convert it first. Now the BCIS data, depending on where you are, on average for commercial to residential conversion, all-in rate is about £110 per square foot. But if you've got your own teams and you're obviously doing like we are, we've got developments on the go, we're building these for about 80, maybe £90 per square foot. So then when you take that into account with all the other buying costs, you want to ensure that it doesn't exceed the value price per square foot, i.e. that £550, £600, because anything you make in between is your margin. So assuming you're successful first time and you get your Class MA application approved, brilliant. First thing you want to do is check the conditions, if any. The main kind of condition that you usually have on a Class MA application is a time condition. And effectively it will say that this build or this conversion needs to happen within the next 3 years. Then we have to think about other things that are outside planning and outside the build as well. So CIL, Community Infrastructure Levy. It is applicable on commercial to residential conversions if your council is opted for CIL, which majority of them now are. But the good thing is you do not necessarily have to take an account for that if you can prove that the building was lawfully occupied for a period of 3 months or more in the last 3 years. So that's something I can touch on in a separate video because there's a lot of detail and stuff you need to actually provide. You may also need to enter into a Section 106 agreement with the council depending on your area. So with commercial buildings, unlike residential where you pay council tax, obviously on these you pay business rates. So when you're going through the process of converting this building and you've got the planning approved and you've started some basic strip out works, you can actually become exempt from paying business rates due to the redevelopment. So that's something, again, we can touch on a separate video, because that detail, and there's a lot of information that you need to provide in order for you to get that kind of exemption. So the next process for me will be speaking to my architect and structural engineer to provide what we call building control or engineering drawings. So they're our working drawings, the ones that we can go to tender with our contractors and actually review what we're doing exactly, which walls are coming out, what steel supports are getting put in, what sound insulation we're providing, etc. So again, I've got my building control drawings. Now I can start going to tender. But before I just go to tender and start the build process, I also want to speak to warranty providers. So we can get an NHBC style warranty, or you can go for a professional consultant certificate, PCC for short. You're going to need this regardless if you're selling it or if you're retaining it, because a lender will request this, especially in insurance-backed kind of warranties. So make sure you have that conversation up front, because they generally don't like retrospective policies. So look, this is just a quick recap of the process of converting a commercial building into residential. Hopefully you found some gems in here. We got a lot more videos and content like this. And guys, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. We will review them and we will answer those questions for you.